let's start here. When it came to stop killing games, there's a man you may know. You may know his stance on this is smug contrarianism. Start killing gooners. Hey, SKG. Stop killing games, start killing gooners. Right? So, Mr. Smug Contrarianism here, who if he just stuck to the like the good, solid life advice, good job advice, and programming games and shit, if he just stuck to that, he would do so well. He would do so fucking well. But he keeps doing the smug contrarianism thing because it works. 1.1 million views on his smug contrarianism. Guess what he also did? Guess what he did? And it turned out he was dead fucking wrong. 1.1 million views on there being no adpocalypse. He went out of his way to say, there's not an adpocalypse. That's not happening. And guess what it did? So whenever he does the smug contrarianism, it makes him a bunch of fucking money. So either he's a genius, or he actually is so far up his own asshole that he's confused the carrot that's stuck up there for a spine. I still love that SKG said, let the government decide on how SKG would work. Yeah, no, that was dumb as fuck. Now, that's the other side of the equation, is the guy behind the Stop Killing Games movement, right, said, on the other hand of things, we're just going to build this movement and then it's going to move into these legal systems and then everything's going to be fine and unicorns are going to descend from heaven and suck all of our cocks. And I'm sitting there thinking the second anyone above the age of 35 reads any of the bullshit in this SKG shit, they're not going to know what the fuck's going on. They're still trying to figure out why their pager doesn't work in 2025. No one's going to take it seriously, and all the companies who don't like SKG are just going to bribe these bitches.
He is an industry plant. If Pirate Roachware was a real programmer, he would finish Heartbound already. Like goddamn Duke Nukem, forever saw a 1-0 release date faster than his game ever will. Star Citizen might actually come out fully completed.
Maybe. I don't know anything about his gaming skills, so I'm not going to criticize or comment on it, right? Maybe he keeps on adding features. Maybe he's going through scope creep. Who the fuck knows? Maybe, on the other end of things, Heartbound isn't actually a game. It's just an elaborate way for him to continue to stream and look like a program and build an entire niche audience of gaming programmers who are looking for it. And then, like, but you know, who knows? Who knows? I don't fucking know. There's a free demo for his game, right? So that's the thing, is I don't know. I have zero information on that, so I can't criticize him on it, and I can't compliment him on it. Right? I don't fucking know. So let's see what Josh Strife Hayes has to say about this. I'm very interested to see his opinion on this. Is he going to get called a used car salesman as well?
Video games are great. We all like them. We all want to play them. And, importantly, I'm trying to sit as still as I possibly can so the DVD logo doesn't go around anywhere. More importantly, we all want to be able to keep playing them even after companies have stopped support for the game.
Yes.
Now, one of the Tony Hawk's games is a great example of this. I'll see if I can explain this a bit later on.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4? Or was it Pro Skater 2?
But who in the chat has heard of videographic games? Video games for short. Vid games to us game heads. That's what,
and to the real human beings with a soul, Vidya. With a Y.
what we call ourselves as gamer fans. Now, call me old-fashioned, but when you buy a video game, I like to be able to put the game into my games console and or PC, and the game plays.
Okay, I'm going to say this again. I've explained this before, right? I did not appreciate this enough as a child. The idea of when you buy the disc, you put it in, and that's the whole video game. I took it for granted because I lived in a household where sometimes my dad would walk in, eject the disc, and just snap it in front of me for like the shit I did wrong, and sometimes for the shit I didn't do wrong. And so I very quickly developed a defense mechanism of not caring, of not being attached to physical objects, because I figured at any point in time it's just going to disappear and that nothing is permanent. Now, looking back, I now understand the value of all the boomers with their fucking DVD cases sitting on the walls and the shelves and shit. And this hurts to say, but the boomers were right. The boomers were goddamn right. Do you know how many feature-length things are lost to time and sitting somewhere on an 80-year-old man's shelf is like the deleted scenes of Finding Nemo, and you will never see that. You will never see any of those extra animations, all the different ideas, the concepts, the interviews, the work behind it, because it's all locked away on a DVD that you're never going to see. Same thing for video games. There is a bunch of insanely beautiful and crazy good video games that are lost to time and will continue to be lost to time because we don't have physical storage.
I know, it's an archaic, insane thought, but I've still got a Sega Master System, one of the original Sega Master Systems,
Lucky
on the
bastard.
top of the Arcade Kallax unit over there.
You see that right there? I'm jealous of this motherfucker because my mom gave my original PlayStation away to a cancer patient, and I never saw it again, and I'm still fucking mad about it because he died. He didn't need it. He died. I needed my system back, and I never got it back.
Stick a cartridge in, it plays the game. Oh yeah, classic stuff. I've still got a PlayStation 1. You put a disc in, it plays the game. If you haven't watched the Kadikarus PlayStation 1 cheat video by now, you should go and watch the Kadikarus PlayStation 1 cheat video. It's fantastic. However, imagine that a video game company required you to connect to an online server to play a single-player game.
Yes, Nintendo.
Just imagine. It's insane, I know, but The Sims did it. And then imagine that in the future, that server hosted by that company goes down.
Yes, Nintendo. All of this just sounds like Nintendo in the future, EA in the present.
Your single-player game is now unplayable, even if you have the data on the disc.
So you see, he's one step behind because Nintendo has said that if you break their TOS on the Switch 2, they will brick your entire console. So he's one step behind. The business model for the companies is 5 steps ahead.
Even if you put the disc into a PC or a games console, you can now no longer play that game. The question is, why? Now, a good example of this is one of the Tony Hawk's games, and you'll have to correct me on the exact one.
You know what's really interesting? That people tend to forget?
The new generations will not understand what it was like to have a physical map of GTA Rosem Hug.
No, they never will. They never will, Keith. They'll never understand. You know what? Actually, I found it the other day, right? I was digging through a fucking trash pile of all the shit I gotta clear out of my garage, right? I'm gonna go find it right now. I'm gonna show you something magical. None of you understand the majesty, the joy, the pure, unfiltered nostalgia I had when I found this. The fucking Diablo 2 book. It was amazing. God, this brought back so many memories. All the monsters are in here, the guides, the fucking... And I kept this thing fucking pristine. And the worst part, like, here's the thing, is the only damage there is to this book is the corners from me flipping through it. Pristine. And there is nothing that will bring you the joy of having some shit like this and playing the game at the same time. I still have the Guild Wars 1 book. Somewhere downstairs, I still have the original black and white 1 with its cover, and black and white 2 in its cover with the guidebook talking about how much of a leap forward the AI programming was for the creatures in that game. It's somewhere downstairs under a pile of shit. And you will not know, like, there's no one under the age of like 22 who's going to understand the pure, unadulterated joy of having something like that happen.
But it was like Tony Hawk's Underground 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 or 5 or something like that. It was one of the Tony Hawk's games specifically. The physical disc that was printed for that Tony Hawk's game only actually contained, I believe it was the first level of the game within data on the disc. Mm-hmm. And what the disc then did was allow you to download the rest of the game from the online server. And this was done because the DVD logo is really distracting. This was done because the company wasn't able to print all of the data onto the discs at the right time. You'll have to work out exactly which Tony Hawk's game it is. But they printed the first level on, and then they gave you the authority to download Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Tony Hawk Tour. This man needs to be deep fried in semen. Fuck this guy. Oh, it's Pro Skater 5. I thought it was 4.
Thank you. They gave you the ability to download the rest of the data from the server the disc would connect you to. However, a couple of years later, that server went down.
Yep.
That server's no longer maintained. The data is no longer accessible. So if you purchase that CD, you get the first level of the game and then nothing else.
Yep.
Because you physically can't get it. The data's not there. The game is now effectively killed. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's a good or a bad game. The point is, you no longer have access to it. Even though you...
Which is why emulation is so important. This is exactly why emulation needs to be like a protected service that no one's allowed to fuck with. And it should be literally signed into law somewhere that if you do not offer the game, if people cannot play it in its original state, it should be perfectly legal to emulate it, and you are not allowed to bitch about it because fuck you. That's what it should be.
Purchase the CD, which effectively is just a right to download the data to play the game. $50 for one level. It's dumb. Now, what Ross would like to propose with his Stop Killing Games initiative is, once companies... Ubisoft here, I will bury you in the microtrans... Yeah, they will. They absolutely will.
Yes.
What Ross would like to propose is, once a video game is no longer supported by the company that makes it and is no longer actively generating revenue for the company that owns the rights to it, Ross does not want the rights to it. He doesn't want the copyright to be able to, sell versions of the game. All he would like is for the game to still be accessible to people who want to play it. That's pretty much it. The game becomes freeware, if you will.
Yes.
It's not...
Which is a fair thing for it to become, right? It's the same as that whole copyright thing where once it's lapsed a certain amount of years and shit, right? It loses its ownership and then anyone could use it. So that's why anyone can make a Sherlock Holmes thing, or anyone can make like a Victor Frankenstein, and that's why you see the repetition of all those stories, because the IP on that kind of shit has lapsed, right? The same needs to happen with video games, but at an accelerated rate, right? Where it's a fuck you, you don't offer this, so you don't get to do anything, right? You don't get to be a whiny little bitch who takes someone to court because they're giving people what they want when you won't. Nintendo updates copyright every year to make sure it never lapses. Yes, but this is what I'm saying, Chelde, is it shouldn't be related to the copyright IP. It should be related to the game itself, right? So if you wanted to, let's say the very first Super Mario Bros. Became completely unpurchasable, completely unmaintained. You couldn't get it off of any service that is offered by Nintendo at all. It should immediately lapse into the state. And even if they then re-offer it later, you should be able to say, well, fuck you, you let it lapse, and it's in the free space, the free public space forever, right? It should be game dependent, not copyright dependent.
Taking away ownership from the original company. It's not taking away copyright. It's not taking away trademark. It's simply saying, hey guys, we're not actively making money from this video game anymore, and yet we've made it as a piece of art. Therefore,
you'd also actually, you know what? You'd also need a caveat so that when they do that thing that we know Nintendo's going to do, where when it comes to online service games, they'll run the entire server off of one Raspberry Pi and say, well, technically, we're still offering the game, right? There needs to be a standard of measurement that the game is still accessible, playable, and usable. And then on top of that, for single-player offline games, there needs to be a standard set where it's like, okay, Nintendo, you can't just sell Super Mario Bros. 1 for $25,000, right? Because Nintendo's argument would be, well, technically, we still offer the game. It's just $25,000 for one copy, right? So there needs to be like a standard of fairness to that.
We want you to be able to experience the art. So here's the stuff you need to do that. Now, the problem with that is, are you passing on copyright when you do that? Effectively, a library of video games. That's what it would be. Because you go to a library and you have access to all the books in the world that you need access to. You take the book away, you enjoy it, you give it back. You don't own it. You just
see, that's what I mean. Right? It needs to be game dependent, not copyright IP dependent.
Have access to it. Imagine if a company was printing books, and when they stopped selling that book, because they could no longer make money off it, they went around and found every copy of the book that exists and takes them back. Because you're not allowed to have them. They're not making money off them anymore. They take them away. That's pretty much what it is. In this example, who is paying to host the server and will allow downloads after making no profit? That is a very good question. And the answer is potentially a video game-focused charity. Or you allow people to have access to the software to host that themselves. Effectively an archive.org thing for video games. Stop Killing Games has a UK petition. Did you sign it? I absolutely did. I am 100% behind it.
Oh no. Oh no. Pirate's going to label Josh Strife Hayes a used car salesman now. Oh no, how terrible.
Now here's the problem. This is why it's not super simple. Lawyers get involved, and lawyers say something such as, well, we can't give the source code to the video game away. It might contain industry secrets. We can't give the source code. The DVD logo is killing your attention span. Well, that can go over there then in the top right corner.
Damn, I was locked in on that DVD logo. I'm going to be honest with you. I was watching that thing bounce around his head like he was an Indian woman trying to dodge getting raped in the streets.
The lawyers got involved, and you can't just give people access to the source code because they then might kind of decompile it. They might use ways to take information from it. There's going to be industry secrets within there. So how do we do that? How do we give access to video games without getting on the wrong side of the law? And that's what it is. Here's an example of a game that I specifically bought because of this. I believe it's Warcraft 3. Now I have...
Oh my god, he's such a genius for buying that, because you can't get the original game through Blizzard anymore, because if you connect it online to any server, it auto upgrades that shit. And it's so fucking annoying because it fucking ruins what it was. Oh my god, it's irritating.
No real love. I have no real love for Blizzard one way or the other, but I quite enjoy the video game Warcraft 3. I paid £2 from the English...
Warcraft 3 was such a banger, by the way. The OG Warcraft 3 all the way up to the Arthur story where Illidan's fighting him was such a fucking banger of a story.
Secondhand shop, CEX.
By the way, it's quite literally canon in the lore that the only reason Arthas won against Illidan was because Illidan was arrogant enough to not take him seriously. Illidan thought, like, this is easy work. And then Arthas fucking styled on him.
Does anyone remember the Warcraft 3 debacle when they changed it to Warcraft 3 kind of reforged or remastered or whatever they ended up calling it? I think it was reforged, wasn't it? If you had Warcraft, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, if you had Warcraft 3 installed on your PC, even if you had it installed from a CD,
yes,
because you were connected to Battle.net, they force updated your version of Warcraft 3 to reforge.
The dog shit. We hired a third world country to remake the fucking thing because we're too busy sucking all the breast milk out of Susan's tits in the office. Yes. Yes. Auto update. You needed to actually disconnect it and make sure that it couldn't contact or talk to a server or anything to play that game. The more I learn about Arthas, the more I believe he did nothing wrong. Arthas quite literally did nothing wrong. Right? That is an actual thing. Right? Because during the culling of Stratholme, Uther told Arthas to do nothing, and he did it wrong. So, Arthas did do one thing wrong, right? He made one mistake. And it's not that he thought killing all the people in Stratholme, that wasn't the mistake. What he should have done was he should have gone back to the city of Dalaran, right? And he should have asked the mages to be like, we need a mage nuke right now. Every fucking bomb you've got, we're going to nuke this fucking place off the face of the earth. And if he had done that, he would have fucked up everyone's plans. And he would have still been the king of Lordaeron. That was his big mistake. It wasn't that he genocided the people of Stratholme. It's that he didn't genocide them hard enough.
That is why I bought this disc. I would like to have access to the original version of the game that I remembered playing as a child.
Yes.
This game has good memories to me.
The good version.
Don't want to play their reforged version. I want to have the original graphics, the original sound, all of the original UI elements and UI designs, all the original resolutions. I want this. The important thing about that to me is video games have history and they have memories connected to them for when you played them. So we don't want companies to give us the rights to games. We just want the ability to play the games as we remembered.
Absolutely.
You have installed it from the CD right now. It doesn't update. You actually need a workaround to update it to reforge. Okay, gotcha. I like that. That's good.
I don't know how true that is because I lost my Warcraft 3 CDs. Actually, that's not accurate. They got stolen from me. But I don't know how true that statement is. I hope it's true.
So the Stop Killing Games initiative is effectively saying, hey, if you've put time and effort and energy into making this video game, once you're done with it, maybe don't just throw it away because it no longer has value to you. Because to the gamers and to the people that played it as a kid, it does still have value. Whether it's emotional, whether it's artistic, it has a level of value. Josh, you're watching two moles fight in a hole. You got to do better than that. No, I can't. Where are you watching it? We're all going to watch it. Hun, you've just said you're watching two moles fight in a hole. Are you talking Twitch or are we coming to your house right now? Where are we going with this? You can't just say something like that and then leave. You can't just tell me the most entertaining thing is happening.
I think I've seen that porno that he's talking about.
And then just say, and I've got to compete with that. I don't want to compete with that. I want to join you. Where are we? Where are we going? Field trip to your house. Let's do this. Now, I think what pulled Ross into this was Ross likes a video game called The Crew. And The Crew is like an online car driving game.
Where is it?
Actually, Russ is just a used car salesman, so no one should believe him ever.
Sorry, just had to make that correction quick.
Online car racing game. Imagine Burnout 3, but in like a massively multiplayer, open world kind of thing. You guys, you've probably played The Crew. If you haven't, you should go and watch Ross's Game Dungeon video on The Crew. Well, what then happened was Ross said to a lot of his viewers, hey, if you want to play The Crew with me, just get a copy of The Crew. We can play online. So people did that, and then the servers all shut down. And suddenly people that had paid for a copy of The Crew could no longer access it. And this is because the legal wording of the purchase of The Crew was, you're not paying for a game, you're paying for the temporary right to access the data that makes up the game that can be removed at any time. Which,
see, that's the kind of legal fuckery that should be illegal. That should be against consumer, like anyone with any country with a CPA. So like a Consumer Protection Act should look at that and decide to fuck those companies into the dirt for doing that. And they should be able to do it retroactively.
Sucks. Completely sucks. You're watching it on Instagram, your brother sent it to me. Well, have him send it to me. So Ross got kind of pissed off that people that had spent money on The Crew could no longer access The Crew. And then he decided to start the Stop Killing Games initiative. The Stop Killing Games initiative is the idea that once a company is done with a video game, they should have a...
Steam does it. You don't own anything on Steam. Yeah, I know, and that's pretty concerning, right, Ashura? The biggest concern with Steam isn't Steam currently, because Gaben is video game Jesus currently. The big concern is what happens when Gaben dies, right? What happens when he dies? Who takes over Steam? Can we trust that guy? Remember, Tolkien refused to sign over the rights of the IP to the Lord of the Rings, and all it took was a little bit of finagling by Amazon, and we got the Rings of Power. We got Lord Demrangs. All it took was just a little bit of finagling of one of the descendants of Tolkien. So what happens to Steam when he's gone, huh? If buying games isn't owning, then pirating isn't thievery. I agree. Imagine you steal something, but the thing you stole is right where it was in the morning. I'll make every shitty argument about that, Sarah. I'm right there with you. Yeah, and he's fat so he can get a heart attack at any time. That's the problem. As we give them money, if it's good. It's my thoughts. Hold on. We use Steam because it's convenient and better than anything else. I'm okay with leaving it for good old games. Oh, it's Galaxy of Games now, isn't it? If Steam fucks us. Yeah, so am I. And I hope it never happens. I hope that Steam is able to maintain itself beyond the death of Gaben. But I have no faith in any system not becoming corrupt and fucked up at some point.
Level of responsibility to set it up in a way that is still playable by the players and the consumers in the future. Yeah, it's like that everywhere. You will own nothing and be happy. You are not paying for access to the video game data anymore. You're paying for a temporary access to it that can be rescinded at any time. Ross said that these games need an expiration date. Yeah, that could work. That could absolutely work as well. Having an
The problem with an expiration date is that what companies will immediately do is they'll say, okay, this expires the day after you purchase it, but as a courtesy, we'll keep it going beyond that. Do you see the legal finagling that you can get around this shit with?
Expiration date works too. Saying, hey, if you buy this, you're going to gain access to it for this long. How would that work with The Crew? Well, if you require a server to set up, I imagine it would work.
That's illegal. So was Epstein Island, but that shit was going for years, wasn't it?
The same way that playing Command & Conquer Red Alert with a friend would be. You can host your own server and simply play a game.
Imagine saying that, Shielde. Imagine saying that's illegal to a bunch of fucking boomers who are so old that they watched God create the universe for the first time, right? Imagine saying that to a bunch of old fucking wrinkly skeletons who've just had their 6th dose of baby blood. They look like the fucking God Emperor on the throne, staring into the abyss with just a skull that's somehow sentient, keeping back the psychic waves of logic and sensibility. And all these old fucks are thinking is, How do I access my email? That's the only thought that's going through their head. And that's the person you want to tell, hey, it's illegal what's happening in this complex video game thing. Maybe we should do something about it. And they're like, shut the fuck up. How does a webcam work?
With them if you want to. It might not be a massively multiplayer server unless some rich benefactor or charity somewhere decides to host a permanent server for it. In the same way that Neverwinter Nights still has permanent ongoing servers, and I can still use LogMe and Hamachi to port forward and play with people that I want to across the by simulating a LAN connection. There's ways to do it. Hosting a server is something many people already do.
Yep.
Is piracy...
Because you have to.
Right. I'll tell you the one time. Games like PT... Remember when PT, the trailer, was kind of created and you could play that PT version and people downloaded it to their PlayStations? And now a PlayStation with the PT trailer on it is worth so much money because you want access to that data. The same thing with Flappy Bird if you want that kind of stuff. PT being taken down was a real shame.
Oh man, Flappy Bird. Oh God. You know, some fucking wild shit keeps happening with games, and it doesn't get better. It just gets worse over time. We just find more things to spend more money on because we can't keep things fucking preserved. Fuck, video games are like a fucking banana in the back of the fridge, and it's just turned yellow, so you know you've got 10 minutes before it turns black.
Because most people will not be able to play that now. But I think that the playable teaser trailer, the fact that Josh, the mole video is sent to you, you can watch it. Oh, hell yeah. Hang on, guys. No, we'll get back to this. If it's on Instagram, I'm on Instagram. You can message me on Instagram. That's fine. Hang on.
God damn it, Josh. And
I'm checking my phone. I'm not seeing anything.
That's the most watched piece.
I'm not. You've lied to me. Oh, hang on. No, it's a message request. Sent a reel. Oh, hell yeah. There we go. Oh, this is brilliant. Oh, it's porn.
They sent him porn.
Got it. This is
It's like
excellent.
buying a house in China. Technically, you're not buying your house, but a 70-year contract that you have to renew if you want to continue living there.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Except you forgot the part where you say this is fucking bullshit to the developer, and then you get reported to the CCP, and they lock your feet in a chamber, and they smack you with a bamboo rod every day until you recant, and when you do recant, then they move you off to the other camp where they harvest your organs. But at least you die free of sin.
This is peak Twitch.
You know, if you close your eyes, it does actually still sound like porn.
What should do? Can you relocate them?
That was excellent. So, Josh, what do you do for a job? Well, yesterday I watched two moles shagging with 1,000 people, just chatting, to be honest. It was great. This is why it's difficult to explain what Twitch streaming is. When people are like, so Josh, what do you do on stream?
Imagine trying to, like, explain to an accountant where your money comes from. I have to try and do that now. They're like, where did this $50 come from? I'm like, well, I was online, you see, and I was talking about rape and the benefits of it.
Stream. Don't ask questions. You don't want to know that. You don't need that data. That's not important for you. Why do the viewers suddenly increase? See, I know the Twitch meta.
You all shit on Twitch while streaming on. Absolutely, Faith. Can you truly call yourself a Twitch streamer if you aren't a hypocrite, right? But think about it this way. You should shit on Twitch, especially if you want streaming to succeed, right? The same way if you love Guild Wars 2, you should shit on Guild Wars 2 and the bad things it does so they hopefully fix the bad things, right? Same thing with Twitch, right? I will shit on Twitch, and if they do something good, I'll be happy about it. But they do deserve to be shit on. Because Twitch is not about the background systems. It's about the actual people who do shit. Like Josh here, right? You didn't come to Twitch because you care about some fucking loser in a back room who's running Twitch. You care about whatever fucking streamer you're watching. Or you just come here to mock me and call me a fat electrician, apparently. Twitch doesn't give two shits who says what. Yes, they don't. They actually don't. And kind of in a beautiful way, that's a good thing. You know what Twitch's rules for freedom of speech should be? They should be the same as the US Constitution. Or, on the other end of things, if they're going to start limiting speech, limit all speech. The fat electrician is a YouTuber. God damn it. Of course. I thought so. Of course. I don't get complimented like that. I understand. But like, you can use the system and you can still criticize it. And generally speaking, the lowest bar of, oh, you use this, but you criticize it, right? That's the same as people being like, I'm criticizing my country because I want it to be better. And then some fucking moron coming along like, oh, you're criticizing your country. Why don't you just fucking move then? Right? It's like, well, maybe because I want my country to be better. Now, for me personally, I don't give a fuck anymore. I've tried. I gave it my best go. I had hope. I had faith. Now, it's time to get the fuck out and live somewhere where I would like to be. I changed my mind.
The Twitch meta is to sit here talking about two moles having a fight. Or were they having sex? Who knows? Little column A, little column B. Get swole, watch a mole.
But no, think about this. Seriously, Faith. Think about how amazing Twitch could actually be, right? Now you've got me on a tangent here. But think how amazing Twitch has the fucking potential to be. And all it needs is a few competent people who aren't a bunch of shit-eating retards who take political stances instead of making business decisions that are good for the viewer. Right? Think about that. Think if Dan Clancy, for 5 seconds, could stop jacking off to fucking barely legal girls on Twitch, he could make this site, he could make streaming on Twitch a fucking utopia. But instead, he's got his dick in his hands and he's blasting cum at his phone screen. Right? Think about how dumb all this shit is. This political stuff. Okay, sure, fine. Let Hassan go and interview terrorists and shit. But then don't ban Tectone because he called Frogan a fat wobbly bitch. Because all he did was state a fact. Right? You can have it both ways, but then don't lean one way or the other. Let it happen. Just bite the pillow and let it go in dry. Or just don't let it in at all. One or the other. But this place, I'm not kidding, Twitch could actually be a fucking utopia. It could be the best streaming platform. It could be top tier. They could be innovating, making new features, actually consulting with big streamers like Josh Strife Hayes or Asmongold or whatever the fuck. Ask him, yo, what are the best features that we can put on the site? How can we bring advertisers here? You know what the dumbest part about Twitch advertising is? It plays a full screen fucking ad. Do you know how stupid that is? I'm sorry. This has existed since the days of black and white TVs. You know when you're watching like a sports match or sports ball or whatever the fuck? Why can't Twitch implement a system where a little fucking banner pops up here? Oh, look, there's an ad. And it like minimizes the screen of the streamer for like 5 seconds. And then it goes fucking back to normal. How basic is that shit? These retards can't even figure that out. Right? Do you know why? They're too busy eating each other's assholes in the back room, talking about how great they are for hating Jews. If they shut the fuck up about their political opinions for 10 seconds, they could make Twitch amazing. And that is what every single streamer wants. That's why I don't see it as hypocritical to shit all over Twitch but still be on it. Because I want Twitch to be good. I do. I legitimately want it to be good. Everyone knows that YouTube is sitting out there and you say a bad word and they'll demonetize you. But as long as you groom a child without saying any bad words, that's a-okay by them. Right? But Twitch, Twitch could do a better job at streaming. Twitch could fucking destroy every other streaming platform. Twitch has banner ads, do they? Do they actually have banner ads now? Because a while ago they didn't have those. They just had the fucking pop-up ones. They could do so much. They could improve the chat functionality. They could give you better interactions. They could build out a fucking co-streaming thing that actually works. Instead, all we see is fucking Dan Clancy coming on his fucking screen, swiping past 100 OnlyFans models. Sending them messages like, "You're younger than my daughter could be. That's kind of hot." To make the world good again, we need to destroy HR departments. Yes, we do. We actually could. We could do it. We could live in a utopia, but we make it a living hell. Stream display ads. What a stream... Okay. I'll read that later. But if banner ads are an actual thing, as opposed to full screen pop-up ads, also they need to fix their fucking back end, right? Because if you're watching a guy who plays video games, you don't need a fucking ad about makeup, right? Oh, actually, what am I saying? Yeah, no, that's true. You don't need an ad about fucking makeup, because if you wanted to be a femboy, you would be watching the programming streams, not the gaming streams. Ah, fuck, I'm so mad at Twitch's implementations of shit. Like, some guy will be streaming Minecraft, and they're trying to sell a fucking Toyota Camry in an ad to a fucking 11-year-old. Who's just sitting there going, "That's the car that my friend's divorced mom drives." Right? Like, he cares beyond that. He wants to see I Show Speed's cock again. That's all he wants. He doesn't want to see a car. Their ad system is so dog shit.
That's how we do it. Anyway, stop killing games. Ross is probably watching the stream and regretting coming on now. So, the point is, this trend isn't isolated. It reflects a broader shift across most industries in Western economies. It absolutely is. We are moving away from owned things toward access things. Yes. We're moving toward game.
Everything is going to be a subscription model in the future. I've seen these plans in businesses. I'm saying this as a project manager. I've seen washing machine companies do this thing where you cannot buy. They want to move towards a system where you cannot buy a physical washing machine. You can only rent it out for a given period of time. And if you fuck up the washing machine, then you pay the full price on top of what you already rented, right? And if your renting period ends, you can either extend it or you can give it back and get a new one. BMW had heated seats as a subscription. Yes. Washing machine companies want to do this. I've seen that from their internals, right? They want to make everything into a subscription model. Literally everything. You're leasing a washing machine. I swear to God, there are going to be rented Nike shoes in the future. Yes, it's coming, one way or another. You want to know what also got backlash back in the day? Was the Amazon website, right? The Amazon website used to be yellow. And they changed it to white one day. And do you know what happened? Everyone lost their fucking mind, so they changed it back to yellow. And then over the space of like 4 years, every single day, they changed the yellow one shade lighter until eventually it was white. And no one bitched. Not a single person bitched.
Now, businessmen looked at that model and went, so if someone buys this, they'll never need to buy another. And the craftsman, proud of what they'd made, said, that is absolutely correct. And the businessman went, well, what if we want to sell them another? And the craftsman went, well, why would they need another? They've bought the best they can possibly get. It will survive. The businessman went, hang on, I've got an idea.
He's talking about the Toyota Tacoma there.
How about, instead of making the best that you can possibly make, how about you make something that's just about good enough that people won't complain about, then it will break, then we can sell them another. We can plan.
It's even better than that. Planned obsolescence isn't even the thing. It's intentional destruction, right? So planned obsolescence was the last generation of shit, where over time something would break. Now they send an update to the thing they want to break just after warranty falls off, so you get fucked. It's intentional destruction, not planned obsolescence.
for the thing to become obsolete. We can even call it...
Do you know why? Do you know why intentional destruction is more valuable than planned obsolescence? Because sometimes when you use planned obsolescence, someone gets lucky. And the thing that was planned to be obsolete survives. Or the guy is bright enough that he goes into the fucking phone and fixes it or alters something or changes something. And this happens with video games, this happens with phones, this happens with anything physical, right? But if they can send an update to that thing to intentionally fuck it up, to like short out the CPU, to overvolt something in the PC or in the fucking phone, then they can predict exactly when it's going to get fucked so they can force you into another purchase.
Planned obsolescence. And the craftsmen all went, that's a horrible idea. You are hurting the end consumer at the
And they went, shut the fuck up, bitch, make me the phone.
cost of profits. You are designing something to have a specific lifetime that will then break after a given amount of time, normally, conveniently, just after the warranty has ended, and then they will have to come to you and buy something else. And the businessmen all nodded, and then they went to buy another yacht made of cocaine. That's what they did. Did they release The Crew 2? Can't remember. You want to talk about planned obsolescence? You know what? I'll give a shout out to my boy Logitech, seeing as I bought this keyboard.
See, he's like 10 steps behind. He's 10 steps behind. He's talking about fucking planned obsolescence. I'm talking about intentional destruction. I know how this works. Do you know how I know how this works? Because I've seen the inside of engineering manufacturing plants. Do you know why engineers put an expiry date on something after a certain amount of cycles that something goes through? Because they don't want you to fucking die. And then some prick in management is like, how do we make it break sooner so they have to buy more? If you don't tell me, I'm gonna sue you for, you know what happens? They're like, I'm gonna sue you for fucking over the shareholders. I'm going to ruin your life. You're never going to work again. So how do we make this good thing shittier so that it breaks sooner so they have to buy more so we create more waste over time? I know this. I've seen this happen to engineers. I've watched people design exceptional systems. I've watched fucking engineers design something for infinite life and then get fired for it. Because infinite life isn't profitable.
15 years ago, and it's still going. In fact, when I was talking to the Overclockers guys about the new PC, they were like, so Josh, we're going to give you this new PC. What kind of keyboard do you want? I'm like...
Also, by the way, there's another system of intentional destruction. There's something in manufacturing called rate of infant mortality. Right now, this is not aborted babies in the US or whatever. This is the terminology for there's certain equipment that if you buy and you take it out the store door, there's a policy that they will not do returns on it and they will not give it back to you. Right now, mostly CPA covers this, but some products get away with this. And there's a certain rate of infant mortality where they make sure that, like, okay, 5% of these things will break, which forces that person to then have to rebuy the same fucking thing, right? And so they know the second this guy takes it home, it's now out the store, it's voided of warranty, they can't get it back into the store because it's like an object they don't give a fuck about enough that they'll just buy another one instead of just taking it to be repaired or giving it in as a return, right? And they'll plug it in or whatever the fuck, and it'll instantly break. And they'll go, fuck, I gotta buy another one now. That's done on purpose.
No. I don't want any of your newfangled rubbish. I'm going to buy this Logitech keyboard for £10 from Argos, and it is going to last me the rest of my life. That was craftsmanship right there. Not even sponsored, but my God, I would be. You have a Dell monitor you bought in 2008, still rocks. Oh, hell yeah. See, this is the attitude. I like it when you spend money to get something, you understand that you have it for a long time. That's what it's going to be. We've got the same keyboard. Keyboards are cracking. That's great. You buy it to last. That's what we need more things like. So the Stop Killing Games initiative is basically about when companies say, all right, I'm done with this. We don't want them to take their... It's the company equivalent of giving a football out to a load of football teams or clubs or kids having a kick around in the park, and the company's saying, you know what, you've paid for the football, you enjoy it, you have a good time. And then when the kids are having a kick around, the company walk up and go, hey lads, sorry, we've stopped selling footballs now and we can't make any more money off the ball that we've given you, so we're taking this back.
Yep.
And the kids go,
There
well,
it
can't
is.
you just leave it so only we can use it? Can't you just leave it so we can have some good memories having a kick around in the park with our mates? And the companies go, no.
No.
And then they kick the kids. Just
They
for
go,
the
no, they kick the kids, and then they go fuck his mom afterwards.
fun of it. That's not even related to profit. That's just what they do. So, yeah. Sorry, kids, you must rent the football. Oh, my God, you must rent this. You will own nothing and you...
Because it's a service. It's not a product. It's a service.
The
That's what I
same
always do.
shit is with developers. They don't want to make shitty systems, add microtransactions, and throw DEI into the game.
Yes.
But if they don't do it, they can say goodbye to their job.
Exactly,
And the
yes.
stench in the industry follows them.
Yes, of course. Happens all the time. Because it's done on purpose, right? It's the same as you'll see this for people who've worked for large companies who do this thing where they design an exceptionally elegant website that links to the back end, and it is as easy to sign up for the website as it is to unsubscribe from whatever they're offering you, right? And they get fired because they're like, how do we make... We need to hire someone who's going to make the unsubscribe mechanism as excruciating as possible. They need to send us a handwritten letter from a post office in fucking Timbuktu before we're going to let them out of the subscription service. And it's just like Audible used to do this. Fuck, I can't remember all the other companies that had this. But they made it like you were jumping through so many fucking hoops that eventually you were just like, you know what, fuck you, have the $2, I'm not going to unsubscribe. Right? You get fired for doing a good job these days. You ever heard the phrase, no good deed goes unpunished? Yeah, that's what that applies to.
will be happy. Guys, buy physical media.
Yes.
Have a DVD player. Have DVDs.
God, I wish I was bright enough to continue to care about this when I was a kid. God, I'd have such a good collection of shit right now.
Have CDs. Hell, have floppy disks. Have VHS. Buy books that you want to read again and again and again. There
The mixtape people were right.
is a value to physical media that you have access to at any time. And if you've got CDs and you want to dump the data from them onto archive.org so other people could play them, absolutely do that. I watched a YouTube video a few days ago of a guy that went back and played a load of random free old game CDs that he himself had dumped to archive.org many years ago. Remember, copy that floppy. Always do that. Is anyone in the chat, of course you are, you're all watching me, is anyone in the chat old enough to remember floppy disks?
Yes.
If you are not old enough to remember floppy disks, do you want to know the most amazing copyright protection that we had invented? All right, this is going to blow your mind. You want to know how floppy disks dealt
I know what he's going to say.
with copyright protection to make sure that you could never copy the data on a disk? All right? On the back of it, there was a little switch.
Yeah.
And if you pushed it kind of in,
Yeah.
you could then copy the data.
Yeah. There was a physical lock. Fucking incredible.
I think companies were just kind of hoping no one would figure that out. That's what it was. That's what it was. They
amazing.
produced them and they go, these floppies are uncopyable unless somebody pushes the little switch. And then somebody else went, can't we just like remove the switch or use a hole punch or cut a tiny notch in it that would do the same thing? And they went,
Yep.
you shut your goddamn mouth.
Yep.
You don't give people ideas like that. Stop it. Stop it right now. And then they...
Remember being able to pencil mod a GPU. Unfortunately, I was retarded back then. I didn't know enough about GPUs. You got to remember, right? I was such a dumbass as a kid. And like my system was so shitty that when I tried to play Fallout New Vegas, my GPU would overheat and crash my PC every 10 minutes. So my solution to this, right, was I took a bunch of ice packs, right, that I threw in my freezer. And every 10 minutes, I would rotate out a new ice pack and drop it on the top of the GPU and just leave it there so that I could continue to play Fallout New Vegas because it was the newest, hottest game, but I had the most dog shit system in the world. But you could literally draw a trace with a graphite and unlock those cores. I know that now, but back then I didn't.
Send the police after them. That's what would happen. Some people were probably fully, stopped by that little switch. But some of us who had escaped the Matrix, were able to push that little switch. Some people in the chat will remember CDRs and CDRW. CD readable, CD rewritable. Because they used to sell CDs that you could not overwrite data onto.
Yep.
And then thumb drives came out, and we all thought they were pretty nifty. And we went on to them. Why does this happen? Why, whenever I am left alone to my own devices, do I always end up talking about mid-90s, early 2000s tech? Why does that happen? Although, to be fair, if I could...
I remember when I went off a cliff. It was the first time I installed alcohol. And, what was it? It had Demon in the name. I couldn't remember what the other software was. And I started emulating, like, discs and shit. That's when I went off a cliff. And I was trying so fucking hard to try and get GTA on my PC, which I'd pirated, and the hot coffee mod. Demon Tools, that's it, Demon Tools. Demon Tools was great. And I used alcohol as well. It was so good. And I was doing the most fucked up shit, and it was so retarded, and it was so unsafe, right? Half of the LimeWire links, which I used all the time, were just porn or like pictures of people's assholes. Like, you're like, oh, Linkin Park song. Click it. What? What? He put the whole jar up there? It was a wild time because people would just lie about what the fucking thing they put on LimeWire was. Oh, it was beautiful. Half the time you'd get what you want, and half the time you'd get a horrific surprise.
Buy a PC monitor made of slightly see-through pink plastic? I would. Humanity peaked when we designed slightly see-through plastic stuff.
Yes.
That is why I still use a slightly see-through plastic.
Oh, fuck you. That looks so good. I had the purple Game Boy. That you could see through. I still remember it. Oh, fuck. God.
Xbox 360 controller when I'm playing any games. This was the peak of humanity right here. Good times. We didn't know how good we had it. Because you're old, that's true. That is very true. We did not know how good we had it when we all had slightly see-through plastic technology. And if you weren't there for the slightly see-through plastic technology age, you can't understand. You'll never know. You don't know what it was like back then. It was incredible. The wild west of computer making. Y2K could have been the end of the world. People are like, oh, 2012 was bad. You know nothing. Y2K, we thought everything was going to crash down immediately. To be fair, some people, when they went, oh, Y2K came and nothing happened. Yeah, that was partly because everyone spent ages preparing for it happening. To be fair, we did. 2012 was... There is a theory that the world did end in 2012 and everything from then has just been a simulation. Because it does very much feel...
The theory I've heard isn't the 2012 theory, because that's the Mayan calendar one. The one I heard was that when CERN activated the Hadron Collider, the particle collider for the first time, it caused a black hole that none of us are aware of, and it just fucked the timeline up, and now everything is basically... does anyone understand Elder Scrolls lore, right? Do they understand what a dragon break is? Right, now I'm getting into some, like, deep Elder Scrolls lore that you probably, like, people aren't aware of, right? Elder Scrolls lore with a dragon break was when literally the dragon god fucked up and couldn't control time anymore, right? He stumbled, right? Akatosh fucked up. And what happens is empires could exist for a millennia and not at all. And all these quantum effects started happening all at the same time, right? So like a good example is in Morrowind, there's the dwarven construct that if you get control of it, like, you can dominate everyone. And at the same time, all these converging timelines had all these different factions in control of the same thing and dominating and becoming these overpowering fucking things. And they all existed in parallel together. Numidium, that's it. And they all existed together at the same time, right? But also not at all, because of the dragon break that occurred. Right? Now, that exactly is what fucking the CERN Hadron Collider is. That's the whole theory of that, is we fucked up when we hit that thing. We nailed through a black hole.
It's a
and that's
mechanism
why
that
we keep
helps
on fucking
explain
things up and
story
forgetting stuff.
flaws. And when Bethesda didn't think their lore through between games.
Yes, it was amazing. It's such a cop-out, but it's such an original cop-out, because they weren't using this the way they were using, like people were using time travel. Oh, I went back and I raped Hitler's mom and I accidentally made Hitler. And stuff like that, right? Where it was just like, oh, we can just fix the timeline by just hitting the rewind button and using the cop-out, right? It was more like the world's so fucked in this moment that we can't figure out what the hell happened, which is a brilliant way to retcon shit. Because you can just say, Dragon Break happened. Right? Now, you can't use it too much, but you can use it enough that it becomes part of the lore. And they used it in an interesting way. They weren't just like, oh, well, we just reversed the time and then everything was fine. And there was the fucking Avengers shit that everyone like was coming over. And I'm like, I've seen this time travel garbage too much. I remember when my family had a PC that everyone used and downloaded GTA San Andreas and a mod that left a prostitute in the kitchen and you could fuck her. One day my younger brother tried to play and my mom saw my brother looking at that naked woman. I've got a better one for you, Keith. I've got a better one for you. My mom bought me God of War. And I think it was God of War 2. And this was at a birthday party. And I wanted to play my new game. and not even the press O scene. Not even the press O scene. There is a cutscene in the very beginning of the game where one of the prophets had the biggest, fattest tits any of us had ever seen. And I hit that shit into that disc. And for 10 glorious minutes in a cutscene, we were all fucking stun-locked, watching this bitch's tits flop about under this thin white veil. And all of us, all the boys became men in that moment. We were just like, what the fuck? And when it wasn't my mom, it was I can't remember whose mom it was, walked into the room and observed the orbs. They fucking dived for that plug. It wasn't even the press O scene that was like off screen, where you fuck Aphrodite. It was the one where it's literally there's a prophet who's like a young chick and her tits are flopping about in a cutscene. And we were all just like, I want pepperoni on my pizza. It was so good. Man, we fucked up everyone all in one birthday party. It was great.
Feel like some kind
I didn't
of
want to reveal that, but I'm
very,
fucked now.
very ADHD child playing The Sims, quick saving, quick loading, and just occasionally throwing disasters at the world they have built.
I remember all the puzzles where you'd have a book next to you and you'd have drawn out all the puzzles so you could memorize them.
And looking around, you can kind of go, I can see what he's on about. I can understand. Because if there is a child playing some kind of digital management game with Earth, some days they log in with the attitude of, I'm going to build the best city I can possibly build. I'm going to make sure this is fantastic. I'm going to city plan this. This is going to be city skylines levels of planning. Other days, they log in and use Sims cheats to just remove all of the digital
Rosebud
ladders from everywhere. Other days they log in and they're playing Command and Conquer. That's the kind of thing. That's what's happening. 2012 was when the server went down and the mods left. Yeah, the mods left to a different version. There was an update. Maybe we're just like an older backup version of the file, just slowly running out.
That does make sense. I wouldn't be surprised at this point if our entire universe is being run on a fucking Raspberry Pi in some dude's basement, and he died like 4 weeks ago, and the only difference between us being alive and being gone forever is the fact that his mom can't figure out where the smell is coming from just yet.
Some days you want to pour lava on the villagers. I'll tell you what I've learned about myself through playing city management and Command and Conquer style games, Age of Empires and stuff like that. I am 100% in support of democracy until I'm in charge. Then it's a dictatorship. I love that. That's how it plays. I sit down and I'm to play my Age of Empires, my Command and Conquer, any of my stuff, and I think, I'm going to listen to all my little people. And then someone from the game goes, "Sire, we're running out of wood." And I'm like, back to the mines with you. Get back there. You do what I say. This will work, I promise.
Is this just
then it doesn't.
rambling?
I just quick save and quick load of different things. Just name your country democratic something and it's fine. That's how you do it. That's how you get around the rules. No wood for you anymore. Find more resources, peasant. Yeah. I would hate to be a regular guy in a country ran by me. That's what I'm getting at here. That's what I understand.
Hey, that sounds like South Africa.
If it was a country ran by me, I would always be constructing additional pylons. All the time.
God, you know what? Maybe he's better than our rulers. Because at least we'd have some fucking energy then. We'd have a working system. Maybe not a working system, but at least electricity.
Now let's just link this back to Ross Scott in a way that I'm going to be able to do. There's an old saying, anyone who desires power should be in no way be allowed to have it.
Yes.
We have often found that people who spend their lives trying to put themselves in positions of power over other people are the worst people to be in positions of power. We don't want...
There's one person worse than that. It's the people too fucking stupid to reach for the top. So what they do is they hit the middle management layer and they make everyone else's life below them a living fucking hell. There are so many of those sacks of shit. They don't need a lot of power. They just need a little bit of power over everyone else below them. What you'll find, you'll see this. Like, you can go ask, if any of you know someone who's a school teacher, right? Who's an actual good school teacher, you should ask them this question. You should ask them, hey, which one of the teachers that you know is there not because they want to help educate kids, but because they're desperately trying to lord some level of fucking power over everyone around them, and there's real sacks of shit. And you know what? If you've got one of the good teachers, they'll say, "Oh, I know exactly who that is. Oh, that's this person." Right? They fucking love doing that. They're a teacher for all the wrong reasons. The person you want to watch out for is the person who says to you, "No, I don't know anyone like that." Because that's them. That's them. You found the fucking demon, right? It's the same as any, like, you'll see this in companies. There's a middle management layer where the guy at the top actually has some empathy for the people below him. Then the people in the middle lie to the people at the top about what's going on, and they take a fat shit on everyone below them. And they're too fucking stupid to be any better, to go any higher in their job field. But what they do is they've got a little bit of power and they ruin people's lives over it. The other place you see this a lot is in child protective services. They are actually legitimately good, systematically important people who are doing their best for kids. And at the same time, there are a bunch of psychotic pieces of shit who understand that having the power to take someone else's child away makes them feel so goddamn good on the inside that they'll do everything else to terrify people around them. You'll find these people are homeowners association people. These people are middle management in any company at all, any large corporation, police officers as well. So what'll happen with police officers is there's always some subsect of police officers that are not police officers because they want to serve and protect. They're there because they love lording power over people. And they're too fucking stupid to reach any higher. But they can sit in that middle layer making everyone else's life a living hell because they got a little bit of power. That felt personal. It is personal. It is fucking personal. I've dealt with too many of these people. Did you have bad experiences with CPS? No, not personally, but understand, when I was a kid, I used to train judo, right? All the time. And one of the things my judo club did is the kids whose parents could pay for like a monthly kind of thing would subsidize a certain amount of kids coming from like orphanages and shit like that, right? And so I got to make friends with and be around a lot of kids who were in like a way fucking worse situation than I ever was, right? I was fucking, like, you realize how lucky you are, right? When you get to see, and this is like an actual thing that happened, you get to see a kid get taken away from his dad, right? And his dad did everything in the world to protect it. They rehoused that kid. CPS rehoused that kid with his uncle. His uncle then fucking touched him. Think about that. And do you know what? Do you know what the reason they had for taking him away from his dad was? You don't make enough money to support and feed your kid and send them to a private school. You are mentally unstable, right? And do you know what it turned out? The Child Protective Services person had mixed up the reports. And there's about a 50-50 chance they did it on purpose because the father said to the Child Protective Services agent, you can go fuck yourself if you think you're ever going to get my child away from me, right? So there's a 50-50 chance they did it on purpose. That guy's kid got touched. The whole foster home system is so fucked because there's a bunch of evil pieces of shit who are not out there to actually protect kids and keep them away from abusive parents and shit. They're there to like rehouse them in the most horrific way possible because it makes them feel good on the inside knowing that they can lord that kind of power over people.
Ross, I was speaking to him briefly yesterday to test the stream. Ross in no way wants to be the champion for Stop Killing Games. Like
That's
I said,
the problem. That's the problem is he doesn't want to be the champion, and he needs to be. He needs to not hand the shit over to a legalese system. He needs to be the one to push it through. Because these fucking retards in the system don't understand what's going on.
I said to him, did you intend to lead this charge? And he went, I still don't want to. And the fact that he doesn't want to is, ironically, exactly the reason he should be at the front line doing this. That's what it is. When we say, hey, Ross, do you want all this power? Nope. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's what we need. Will his conversation with Ross be on the Josh Strife Says channel? Probably.